for me to be in growing up here. Being able to give back to this university, and something that I think directly applies to me is a quote I saw a couple weeks ago, and it was, when you're motivated by something you deeply care about, you're motivated by purpose, not by circumstance. And I think that encapsulates me being here today, and just really, really excited about the opportunity, how Coach Rule has this place set up, the emphasis on special teams, and get this place to being the best in the country.
Hey, Brett, how fast did this all come? 2 years ago, you're like, yeah, I can help out your kickers, and now you're running the whole thing.
Yeah, no doubt. It was very, very fast. And something, to be completely honest with you, 3 years ago wasn't even close to on my radar. And I think what allows me to be comfortable in this situation is the experiences that I've had. Number one, throughout the NFL, the different coordinators that I've been a part of with Darren Rizzi, Bones, Jeremy Springer, who's with the Patriots now. You've got Phil Galliano down in New Orleans, and all those guys that I've made relationships with, still have relationships with, and can be sounding boards for me as I kind of go through the processes and the ebbs and flows of what practice schedule looks like, how to run a meeting, how to decide what information is important, what information is not important, how do you try to build a special teams culture, which isn't as challenging here because of how Coach Rule has everything set up. And our base fundamentals here are practicing really hard, giving great effort, having grit. That's a big thing that we're talking about this year. And all of those things encapsulate what we want to do and what we need to do on special teams. So having that comfortability level with those people and walking into this building and having that kind of base already set allows us to be ourselves, kind of do that through our own personality, and really kind of hit the ground running.
Do you think you'd be a coach when you a couple of years ago? Is that something you really wanted to get into, or is this a little bit?
No, didn't think that I would be at all, to be honest with you. When Coach Rule and Coach Foley asked me to come and help with the kickers, it was kind of, I saw it as a nice transition, kind of post-playing, but still kind of scratched the itch a little bit. What I didn't realize was how unbelievably rewarding this profession can be. And you can have such an impact on people's lives in a really, really important and impactful time in their lives. To be able to give them information and share them stories that I have gone through, because I'm sure you guys all know my well-documented career has had highs and lows and everywhere in between. So to be able to share that and use those as teaching lessons and give them a resource or a sounding board to talk through things, to help when stuff is bad, and to sometimes you need to be knocked down a little bit when it's really good too. But that process was way more rewarding to myself than I could have ever imagined. So
when did you realize, I like this more than I thought?
Oh, probably honestly a couple weeks into it. Yeah. Once those players start understanding your message, and you're like, I tried to give them this, they actually got it, and now they're successful, and you see that, whether it's on the practice field or during a game, it's just immediate feedback and being rewarding for me.
Does that give you a different perspective from when as a player, like, oh, a coach said this and maybe I didn't look at it the right light? Now as a coach and you're saying it to players, do you see it differently?
Yeah, I think that's been an interesting dynamic for me to get used to, because I sat in so many meetings, but I was always on the other side of it, right? So you're always hearing the message, and sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't, but trying to formulate a message to kind of to the masses, but then also pick out individual experiences and individual situations that come up has been a really unique challenge. But I do think part of that helps because I have pretty recently been on the other side of that and can understand a little bit where they're coming from. Now I was in their seats a long, long time ago, but I was still kind of on the other side of that meeting not all that long ago.
Hey, Brett, how much do you go back to some of those contacts you mentioned and pick their brain, even maybe go out and meet with some of those guys in the off season here, just as you build your structure?
Yeah, shoot, I talked to Bones yesterday. So they're just really good people, number one, to be able to pick up the phone and call them. And you're always busy in this profession, so to be able to have people that do pick up when you call, or at least call you right back, because it is really new for me. So there's a lot of stuff that I'm trying to learn and digest in a quick amount of time. So to have those are invaluable, and I probably Nick and I will probably go out and take a couple visits here once we settle through spring to settle on a few more things.
What's it been like coaching Archie and that experience, getting back
Yeah.
to coaching punt?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, he is such a unique, dynamic individual. Obviously, super talented, but it's cool to learn different personalities and have different conversations and figure out where everyone is and where they're trying to get to and help guide them along their path. So I mean, all the guys in that room are just a joy to be around and coach.
He's a talented guy. I mean, he can do a lot of different things
Mhm.
with the ball. Where do you want him to get better in year 2?
Yeah, I
compared to
think
last year?
that's one of the challenges with having a guy that is so versatile, right, and has a huge bag of tricks, to where sometimes you lose sight on kind of what your bread and butter is, right? So I would say for like moving forward, honing in on that, but still having the other tools and the other kind of change ups, but really dialing in your fastball, I guess, for lack of a better term.
What do you think that'll be for him?
I think that'll just be like his kind of stock balls is what I call it. His stock lefts, his stock rights, and then using the other stuff kind of as a change up, but giving him a little more like freedom through rhythm, if that makes sense. Because his style is very unique to me, and coaching him last year for the first time was very eye-opening to what I had ever seen or done. So a lot of last year was me trying to learn him and learn that style. And I think like I fell into the trap a couple times of shoot, he can hit this ball, he can hit this ball, he can hit this ball. Let's go out and let's practice all of them. When I do think not reining him in, because I want him to be able to go out there and have the freedom to try to pull off some stuff that's pretty crazy, because that can be a huge advantage for us. But also like making sure that he has something that he can go to in any given circumstance or situation.
What's just your chemistry right now with Nick Humphrey and as you guys run the room?
Yeah, shoot, Nick is awesome, man. He is super bright, super sharp, got a lot of really good energy. I don't have anything, that I would change in our working relationship at this point. As we go through, inevitably there's going to be some friction and some button heads, but at this point in time, we've got roles pretty well defined and declared, and we really complement each other, I think, with what our strengths are and what his background is, what my background is. I think we both are very creative minded as well. So we're able to bounce different ideas off of each other and poke holes in whatever the other one is saying, and at the end of the day get to a conclusion that probably makes sense to both of us.
Real hard, you guys, obviously, to keep the same system in place. Do you see any windows to add your own influence on anything? I guess what's your mindset with
Yeah, there'll be a lot of our influence on it. I think what was really good about last year was the fundamentals and how fundamentals of special teams can translate to other areas of the field. So when you come into special teams period, it's not a complete one-off. I do think schematically there's a lot of room for us to grow, and that's where Nick and I think will be really good and can be creative and create some different things because of that.
Hopefully this is the only time we ask you about him, but Jack Wills, you brought in a long snapper.
Yeah.
Is he kind of been what you hoped?
Yeah, Jack's a stud. He's an absolute stud.
Do you have a backup one yet?
We don't at the moment.
Is that something that you guys will have to try to find?
Yeah, that's something that we're talking through right now. I mean, we have back up just a little bit. We've got a couple guys on our team that can snap, right? Derek Wacker spent a lot of time every day before practice last year was snapping, so he could be an emergency guy for us. And this year he's even a year farther along in that kind of training progression, I guess if you'd say. Wack could go in and snap and be just fine for us, and then we'll kind of figure out how to play the depth off of that as we move forward.
You mentioned how quickly you realized how rewarding coaching can be. Was part of that John Hull was kind of going through it, and then he found it in the middle of that year. I mean, what was that like?
I mean, that's an example, certainly. But there's, Aiden Flaggy's a great example. you could look at, you know, what he went through kind of his first year and being able to spend the off season with him and go through where he didn't end up getting a snap for us last year. But shoot, he was really, really good for us as a backup. And should he have needed to go in, he would have crushed it. So there's stuff like that, and there's also like being in this new position now where I think I've met with 67 guys like one on one, and to hear stories and hear backgrounds and figure out how everyone got into the seats that they're in. It just kind of amplifies everything, I guess.
How do you think Kyle Kunyanen handled his first year as a Husker last year?
Yeah, shoot, I thought Kyle did a great job. This is a different environment that he had ever been in his college career. To come in here, this place isn't easy to kick in. This conference isn't easy to kick in. You're always in a bunch of close games with, you know, weather dictating a lot of things. I thought he handled situations really, really well. There's certainly room for him to grow. But for his first year coming in and doing what he did, I thought was really impressive.
You were part of this trend as well. How did the length of field goals grow so exponentially in such a short amount of time? And how might that translate to college? Like it went from 55 to 63. How did that happen?
NFL specifically or college or both?
How
Well,
did
I think in the NFL, started getting really good at breaking and kicking balls. To be honest with you, that was part of it. There's also kickers are athletes now. They can run, they can jump, they can lift. Now we're not Division I athletes, but we are like very good athletes. Anytime you have a better athlete, you're going to be able to kick ball farther, kick ball higher. And then you've got the K balls and kind of the evolution of that in the NFL. And now they got rid of those last year, so that's where I think you're seeing like a bunch of bombs getting dropped, and I don't think that's going away anywhere. How I think it trickles down to the college game is you've got younger kids that are going to grow up watching that, and so that's going to be commonplace where like if you can kick a ball far, like you've got a shot. So now it's kind of up to all the coaches in the world to try to hone that in and narrow that focus, I guess, a little bit to making kicks, which at the end of the day is what our job is. But I do think that will trickle into the college game, and there's also less consequence in the college game with a long field goal. You get the ball like where it's snapped instead of where it's kicked, so you're like that 8-yard swing can make it a little more advantageous to take a rip at it too.
How will special teams be different under you and Nick as opposed to Mike, or will you keep things somewhat the same?
I mean, there was a lot of stuff that we did really well last year, so it would be foolish on our end to try to wholesale change everything. And I think as you guys have listened to Coach Rule, that's not something that we're interested in doing. We're going to keep what worked, and we're going to evolve the rest of the facets of it. So I guess to kind of put a bow on that one is not looking back on what the past of it was, but figuring out the best way forward to maximize the guys that we have here. And I do think, you know, in terms of special teams, you've got all different shapes and sizes and athletic talents that you can find a piece for. The challenge for us is figuring out how to put those all those different guys into advantageous situations to be successful, make sure they're confident, make sure they're fearless, and you got to be a little bit wild to play special teams too. So finding those right guys and the right blends. You know, Nick and I's personalities are not the same, and that's, you know, just the fact of the matter. But I've seen it work with so many different people that at the end of the day, it's the players that are out there playing, and it's our job to put them in situations to be successful, in situations to be fearless, in situations to be confident, and build the culture of special teams, which Coach Rule plays a huge part in.
Hey, Brett, do you have any memories from your time at Nebraska that stand out now that you're back, and what's the key maybe to kicking in Memorial Stadium with the Winds?
The key to kicking in Memorial Stadium, you got to be a ball striker. You've got to hit consistent balls that are predictable, so you know if the wind is going to affect them, how much the wind is going to affect them, and then you don't end up needing to give the wind as much credit as maybe it feels or sees or what the flags are doing, stuff like that. Some of my memories from here, shoot, I remember playing in 2 Big 12 championship games and 1 Big 10 championship game. Remember going 2-0 against Iowa. Remember the celebration in Iowa City where we won the division and ended up going to the Big 10 championship game and celebrating in the pink locker room, doing all that stuff. Like that's what gives me the motivation right now, because that's where I see this place, and that's where we're going at this place. All good? All right. Great to see you guys. Thank you.